And I guess way back, my major and minor were both in art in college, and got into photography, specifically portrait photography, full time in 2008, Christmas of '08. I started full time doing portraits, weddings, mainly seniors and weddings.
Mhm.
And then several years into that, I had a friend who was a realtor say, "Hey, you've got a camera, come and do this for me." And I didn't even know anything about anything. I went and rented what I thought I might need, um, and all of a sudden this snowball started where two turned into five, turned into 10, turned into over 700 now that we work with, just in the Dallas Fort Worth, mainly on the south side of Dallas Fort Worth area. Um, it's all been zero advertising, completely word of mouth, all grown organically from within. Started with me. Now I have an admin and I have three other photographers, including one that's full time. And our next kind of vision is to see what it looks like to branch out into a completely different geological location. So not just in the Dallas Fort Worth area. Right now, saying in Texas, our closest, or the Abilene is the town that we have in mind, which is about a 200,000 population area, which isn't huge, but we don't overlap at all with it. It's about 2.5 hours away, where I could go and do training and teaching and stuff there with some new team members. Um, but we're trying to figure out logistically what that looks like. And there's such a fine line in growing a business where you don't want to be overwhelmed. You don't want to take on more than you can, but there's potential out there to grow this beyond what we're doing currently. And that's what we want to figure out. We started doing this because I didn't want to be gone every night, weekend, and holiday shooting seniors and weddings. And for the most part, we've been able to keep it that way. My role is I'm pretty much done at 4 every day, and then I can do portraits if I want to or have availability still, but I don't have to be gone every evening and every Saturday out doing weddings and seniors anymore. I do most of our photography, even though I have a team. I still probably do 50% or more of it, and the rest of my other three photographers split up the other 50%. And then I have an admin who does nothing but QA, bookkeeping, scheduling, reschedule type situations. So I do. Uh, Granted, last year was an abnormal year because of COVID, but I will probably do 60 high school seniors and a dozen weddings and a couple dozen families through the year. But last year we shot almost about 1,740 houses, real estate wise. So that has taken over a huge chunk of the business. It went from being just a part of what we did to mostly what we do. And now everything else is just kind of the gravy, if you want to call it that. I mean, we've got a Facebook page and an Instagram page, and they really have very little following. My personal page, I have it capped at 5,000 friends, and I've got like 4,900. But I try to mix in personal and business on that all the time. But almost all of our business has just been relationship based. We had a conversation right before Christmas. How many of agents that we work with we consider really good friends? Like, and it's become that way really quickly. The people we work with, we seem to strike up relationships with really good, and then from beneficial for our side of things is obviously you refer friends, and the more people we keep happy on that aspect of it, then the better we are. I don't get any cold calls. Anybody's calling to ask us for anything is Pam said to call Landon, or so and so said to call y'all and tell me what you do. So and so says you're the only person she would ever use, and it's that kind of relationship that has grown our business. Now, there's different levels of marketing, I guess, because we do try to keep all those people as happy as we can, and we go above and beyond. And maybe it's we give them a little Christmas present or mail them a Starbucks gift card or something to that extent. But as far as like a Facebook AdWord campaign or Google Ads or advertising in the actual brokerages or affiliates here, we don't do any of that. It's all just been organic. We offer anything that's above and beyond or different than a lot of people. We don't charge. All of our pricing is based off of square footage. So we don't say, hey, here's a 20 image package or a 36 image package like some people do. And sometimes I get pushed back on why don't I do it that way. But for the most part, our people are happy. We do offer almost anything you can imagine. Um, we recently got picked as a Zillow Elite photographer, so that happened actually last week, and we're one of four in the Dallas Fort Worth area that got picked for that. The other three are franchises. We do when COVID hit. Here's something we did do that worked out really well for us accidentally. We stopped doing Matterport a couple years ago and replaced it with Zillow 3D. And when we did, we were able to do things so much cheaper and faster, and turnaround was so much faster. Um, Everybody loved it. And then when COVID hit, we dropped everything on the 3D down to a flat $50. And we went from doing 3D on 25% of our houses to probably 85% of our houses do that now. We no longer keep it all at $50, though our starting price is $50, which doesn't sound like a no. It sounds inexpensive to me, and I get pushback from some other people I know nationally that say that we're maybe a little bit too cheap. But when we're doing 1,700 homes and 1,000 of them do a $50 add-on, that's it. That's a pretty good add-on for not a whole lot more extra work. Of course, everything is booked through full frame, delivered. It took us a while to get our agents on board with things specifically like the websites. But it's real fun now because we are friends with most of our agents, that, especially on social media. We always see them sharing our full frame links. And you can tell they're not even going through and changing, the URLs or anything. They're just sending whatever the default links are that we got it. So that was a big deal. Another thing that we accidentally figured out as a workaround, our MLS here hates Zillow. Just does. And so when we started out creating these 3D tours, we couldn't put that link into, sorry, my screen's blowing a little bit. We couldn't put that link directly into MLS, or the agents couldn't put that link into MLS. So our workaround is we got approved as a vendor, and then that made our URLs from full frame as an acceptable link. And then we embedded that 3D tour onto the websites. So then they just started sharing our URLs into MLS instead of the direct link to the 3D tour. And I think inadvertently, that also got our name out there a lot to a lot of people that may not have seen it before as well. But that was kind of our way to cheat the MLS system here and get our tours into MLS, was through the full frame websites. But the fact that all my team can go through their Google Calendar and block off availability or when they want to work and when they don't want to work, and then the system will automatically schedule based off of their locations. As we expanded, we did it purposely with people that lived in different areas of the Dallas Fort Worth area, so that we could try to charge as few travel fees as we could. That's always been the biggest pushback from our agents, is like, well, I don't want to pay a $50 travel fee, for you to come up here. Well, now I've got another photographer up in that area, so we can avoid that, or maybe lessen that, based off of the areas. Pre full frame, the way our workflow went. And now, granted, I don't know if you can see from your side, I've been with full frame 4 years, something like that. So a while. So pre full frame, the way our workflow is an agent would either call me or text me and say I needed this address shot, and I would go put it into my Google Calendar, and then I would go shoot the property. I would have to call them and get all the entry instructions, or if somebody's going to meet me, etc. I would go shoot the property. I would send them a PayPal invoice, and I would send them a Dropbox link to be able to download all the photos. And we didn't do anything beyond basic photos at that time. So immediately now, Most of the time, I don't get a call or text message from an agent. They, for the most part, can go book themselves unless there's a scheduling conflict or something. Then they call us. They pay for it automatically up front, so there's no chasing payments. Um, at any given point, we manually put in something, and we've got 3 or 4, 5 floating around in our system that need to be paid. But for the most part, we're not chasing payments around. And then delivery is upload and hit a button, and it notifies them. They download it very easily on their side, so I don't have to walk, 70-year-old agent in how to use a Dropbox folder anymore. Um, so the workflow through Full Frame has been the biggest key to what we've benefited from. I mean, sure, there's things like the flyer creators and websites and stuff. I don't The websites a lot of my people use. I don't know how many people take advantage of the flyers or that kind of thing. We have very few people use the virtual tour side of things. Um, but just from our side of things, it's able to let me keep an admin on just as a part timer versus having to have somebody who's really managing this, all the time. Our busy season, we'll do 80 properties a week. There's 4 photographers. That's a lot of back end work if you didn't have a system in place to be able to manage that. Last year sucked in almost every aspect. So we literally moved into our new house, and like the next day they started canceling everything and like, oh, everybody's on lockdown. Um, and I lost almost 100% of our portrait business. So that really sucked. But everything that we lost on the portrait side, we made up for in real estate. We were up 40% almost for the year last year in dollars and in bookings. So we killed it last year despite everything else. In the real estate market here, we're already up 30% this year. We just had a snowstorm for a week, and I was off for a week because my wife had COVID, and we're still up 30% already through a month and a half, compared to what we were last year. And last year killed the year before. So um, we've been very, very fortunate to have this snowball of our people love us, and we do everything we can to make sure that they love us, and that's just what it's worked out for. So as bad as last year sucked, in every aspect of the way, um, our real estate business killed it, and it was awesome.